take projection.
Welcome everybody to Taking On Sports. I am TD. That is Greg. Greg, how you doing, man?
I am pretty good. How are you today, sir?
I'm pretty good. Trying to stay dry in a rainy Birmingham up here. Uh, but another weekend of football, so can't complain, right?
Right?
But yeah, let's start with our tide as we usually do. A little bit of a choppy start, but in the end, a blowout win at Camp Randall over the Wisconsin Badgers. This certainly isn't the prime Barry Alvarez era Wisconsin, but nonetheless, that's a tough place to play. It was an early time slot. So a good win, obviously there's things that, I'm sure we can improve upon and we need to improve for when
Right.
we hit Georgia in 2 weeks.
hmm
But, yeah, Greg, what was your assessment of the game?
Overall, I thought things went pretty smoothly. Really the biggest concern was they scored first and we missed that field goal. And I was like, wow, it's going to be that type of day. And then never really wasn't much of a concern after that. But those were the first two things. I was like, man, they scored. They actually had a decent first drive, and everybody's like, "Well, Tyler Van Dyke's not mobile at all." And on that first drive, he ran like what 15 yards. I was like, "Wow, really? That's what's going on today?" And then they hit the field goal, and then we missed our field goal, and I was like, "Man, I thought we had the best kicker in America."
Yeah,
So,
it did had the beginnings of the one of those days where it's like, oh no, like every bounce is going to go their way, all the
right?
little things. We even had that. Was that the first drive too when we hit the quarterback and he fumbled, but they hopped right on it? Um,
Oh,
that was
yeah,
early. It was very
yeah,
early when I forget which lineman or defender that was that hit him, but it was where he got like blocked around him, and
hmm
the backup kept held the ball, and he just got back up and slammed him from behind, and he
yeah,
dropped it, but it bounced right to a lineman, Wisconsin
right.
lineman. But it was early enough. I remember that I was like, man, like,
It's
oof,
gonna be
yeah,
one of those days.
yeah.
Yeah, but overall, we went on. I mean, we went on the road, got a win, cut down on penalties, didn't have turnovers. Um,
hmm Yeah, only 4 penalties all day, no
yeah.
turnovers.
So
Forced,
overall,
yeah.
Caden Proctor played, and I mean,
hmm
Jalen seemed to have a little bit of time. I guess my only concerns are I would. I felt like we didn't run the ball effectively. Um,
hmm
I mean, Jam Miller had a solid day, but no one else really. Um, well, I mean, Jalen had a couple good runs. I think sometimes we try to force him a little too much into running. Against a better defense, that's not gonna fly. I don't think. So,
No, for sure. I do think there's something there that we need to establish the running backs more,
right,
or at least more of a read option guessing game where that they
right.
don't know who's running, but we need to sustain drives more. It's great
Yeah, we
to
can. I
have that.
mean, yeah,
Yeah, it's great to have that big playability. That's awesome. Like you got to have it in this day and age in college football. And
right,
Jalen throws one of the better deep balls in the country. Obviously, Ryan Williams can go get them.
yeah.
Jeremy Bernard, had a good game today too.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to see us, yeah, like sustain some, 10 play drives.
Mhm. Just
Because there's
pound down the field
yeah, there's still
a little
some
bit.
three and outs, in certain situations, and
Yeah,
against Georgia, and those quality teams, that's going to be a crucial thing to keep those
right.
offenses off the field, control, play the
Mhm.
game at our pace.
Exactly.
And
Oh,
defensively, almost the inverse of it. We did force 4 fumbles. We recovered 2 of them.
yeah.
They played well, but Wisconsin was sustaining drives for a while. They had that one
Yeah,
like 17 play drive,
they
right?
did. Yeah, they. I don't know if that was the first try, but yeah, I mean they went. Yeah, and I thought I was a little I guess our run defense was a little worrisome.
hmm
They were getting 5, 6 at a clip, and that's, you know, It's not the Wisconsin of old as far as their running backs. They used to have an All Pro. It seemed like every year.
Right? Oh man.
I mean, they've had a plethora of running backs come through Madison, and they don't have that right now. I thought they ran the ball a little too well. I mean, maybe a little nitpicky, but we got to look at what we can improve on. In the off week, I say we need to continue working on the running game. We'll stop on both sides, running the ball as well as excuse me, stopping the run. And I guess the other concern defensively is once again, second week in a row, man, they had a wide receiver that got two or three times got wide
Hmm.
open. If they had a quarterback worth a damn at that point, then we're cooked.
Yeah, I saw some people talking about that online and kind of thought about it. And yeah, once we play Carson Beck, potentially
Yeah.
like a Quinn Ewers, Arch Manning in a playoff or SEC title game, those quarterbacks aren't going to miss those wide open guys. They're going to make those tight throws. They're going to hit guys in stride. So
And,
yeah, our
even
coverage. Yeah, go ahead.
if Ben Tyler Van, maybe even Tyler Van Dyke had said I think he was out when they had a few of those.
Hmm.
Because we put him out pretty early in the game there, and that's a tough injury for him. I mean, that was pretty tough. Honestly, I don't know if he's coming back this year or not.
Yeah, they mentioned, and I think Joel Klatt was the no, it was it Joel Klatt, Gus Johnson? Yeah, they're the
Yeah,
crew. Joel Klatt mentioned that it looked like it actually occurred right before our defender took him down,
yeah,
like maybe the way he planned it, but you could tell as soon as he rolled over, he was grabbing that
it
knee.
wasn't
So
good. Yeah,
best wishes for him. Hope that
for sure.
it's just a sprain, maybe a couple weeks thing.
It didn't look good though, and when he
No,
comes out on
yeah.
his crutches, didn't look comfortable at all. So you're like, yikes. But overall, can't complain too much. We some of the small things that they're really frustrated. I think most everybody from the South Florida game we cleaned up.
Hmm.
Um, Again, I don't know how good. It was a good win, but again, I don't think Wisconsin's a very good team at all. But it's week by week because I mean we saw teams that we thought were good, and then next week look terrible, and we've seen teams that were terrible one week and look good the next. So it seemed, I don't know, it's hard to. It's been a weird year in college football as far as figuring out who's actually a great team outside of a few.
Hmm.
Because I mean, but
Yeah, this definitely could be one of those years where it's like a little like last year, honestly, where
hmm
we might have to wait until the playoffs to really see who separates themselves.
right,
Because number one, super world beater Georgia, whew, it was a close one.
and man,
But
they
before we go, you done with Alabama? Anything else on the Tide?
I guess the biggest thing, just the injuries. It's good to have that bye week going into Georgia, being it,
Hmm.
I'm more. I don't know if I didn't see the final thing. I don't know if it sounded like he may have had a concussion.
Hmm.
His head. You know, Rusall, that didn't look good with his leg. So I don't. They said it was a lower leg injury. I haven't looked today at all. I've been out a lot, so I didn't really follow up on that. I'm assuming probably
Hmm.
see more of that. So I guess just getting folks healthy, Caden Proctor having more time, to continue. I don't know if he's 100%, but he looked good yesterday. The line looked much better yesterday, offensively, I'd say, at least as far as the penalties. And so, now we just have a week. Get ready for the Georgia game. But, talking about Georgia, they might. At least for from Saturday, a little more mortal than a lot everybody wanted to say.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's a great time to have a bye week, clean up some of those little things, hopefully get everybody healthy. What we talked about, sustaining drives, getting the other team off the
Mhm.
field, tighten up that coverage. We knew, the
And then
secondary, the transfers and young guys, they've played well, but like you said, we've been fortunate that we've played some quarterbacks that are missing stuff.
Right. That we have. Then the other thing I would, just I don't. I mean, I think it's just our wide receivers. I just feel like, man, not it. I would like to see Law get more touches every week. I think
Yeah.
he's
Oh yeah.
supposed to. I would love to see him get some more touches. I didn't. At times, I didn't even know if him or Kobe were even in the game yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
um,
no, for sure. Kendrick Law, and maybe that's something that the coaches are just saving.
maybe
Um, yeah, don't want to show
they've been
everything
super
these first few
vanilla,
weeks.
right?
Yeah, but
But
Kendrick Law's a guy you can put all over the place. He's a
right,
weapon like that.
explosive. But I did like the Bernard Gassa. That was his first game where he kind of showed some good stuff, and of course
Yeah,
Ryan Williams is just Ryan Williams. I mean,
it's
goodness.
continues to just be amazing, and even the announcers, they're aware of how much they're pounding that he's a 17-year-old blah 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 thing, but it should be noted this is a guy that's 17 and he is
Should be a
torching
nice.
defenders. Yeah.
You gotta think though, man. In his high school games, I mean, man, there wasn't anybody within. That was unfair in high school because he's tortured D1 players now.
Mm. Well, he's going to get a test, going up against that Georgia defense a
Yeah,
couple of
yeah.
weeks. But
But
yeah, I think everything we mentioned, and I'd still like
yeah,
to see. We did do like seemed like we did some more short passes, quick throws,
mhm,
screens this week.
yeah,
We got to see more over the middle. I know
yeah,
that's kind of a weak point of Jalen's game, but
yeah. We're gonna
uh,
need some of that.
yeah, you just need it to. We talked about sustaining drives. That's part of it. Those short, intermediate throws over the middle where the defense gives you space. Especially with our playmakers, man. Like,
Yeah,
uh, you think back to when we had that, phenomenal quartet of receivers, with Judy and Smith and Ruggs and
yeah,
Waddle. A lot of stuff was them hitting slants over the middle and or drag routes, stuff like that, and then just taking it for big chunk
right.
plays.
Yeah, even Amari. I mean, when
Yeah.
Amari,
Mm-hmm.
he was those short stuff a lot of the time.
Amari, Coop,
Exactly.
Ridley is what I'm trying to say.
And Calvin
Yeah,
was those short stuff, but
yeah. So,
I think
it,
it just seems like that they're still getting. I don't know, getting used to stuff still. Seeing what they have, and
mhm.
like you said, maybe they're just holding back some of the stuff because why show everything against Wisconsin? You don't need to.
Right, exactly. Yeah, yeah. You're playing West Kentucky, USF, Wisconsin. Um, yeah, you don't show everything to Georgia yet. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, so that's 2 weeks from now. They have a bye too, don't they?
yeah.
Um,
Both of
yeah,
us have buys.
yeah. So we'll
We'll see
we'll
how it
know
goes.
more about. Yeah, that's 2 weeks from now. We all know it's a big one. And like we said, speaking of the Bulldogs, man, woo, they struggled mightily in Lexington. One I didn't see coming.
No,
I even
like
picked them to cover in the picks column on Friday.
seemed
Uh,
pretty seemed pretty simple. I mean, the way they both came into that game. I mean,
hmm But neither team could just really move the
no,
ball in big chunks. I don't. Kentucky might not have had a play over 10 yards all game.
no, it didn't
Um,
seem.
uh, and they couldn't. Kentucky was running fairly well. That I was kind of surprised to see. Kentucky was kind of pushing around the Georgia D line. That's something interesting to note. They couldn't really throw the ball, but neither could Georgia.
No,
Georgia ran it a little, but I mean, if you look at
you look at
the
the
bot,
numbers. I mean, was nothing impressive.
no,
I
you look at
guess that's
total yardage for each team. Georgia had 262, Kentucky had 284. So, oof.
kudos to the defense. I guess
Yeah, and it wasn't a sloppy. There was only one turnover all game. Kentucky lost a fumble, um, and that was it. There was Georgia had 9 penalties,
Mhm.
but
It wasn't
so
a slot, just a lot of three and outs and no,
hmm
people not moving the balls. I mean, it was a more of a classic SEC ground and
good old
pound
yeah,
three
good
three
old
plays
three.
out of dust.
Yeah, good
2000
old rock fight. Yeah.
SEC football. But
You know,
weird
you
enough,
know.
like Kentucky always plays them tough in Lexington. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what it is, but the last three times has been they've held Georgia to like 24 points, and
Mm.
you know nobody else is. uh, Maybe we need to talk with Mark Stoops. What are you doing?
Yeah, right.
What's going
Good
on?
old. Seems like like Kirby and Mark just love that. They don't want any of that nonsense high scoring.
No,
They want a good old pound the rock game.
but yeah, because in
Um,
Lexington that always happens. Now talk about Mark Stoops. Still don't understand the 4th and 6. Why didn't they
punting.
go for it again
Yeah.
instead 3 times? I understand defenses play lights out, but man, no one's gonna be mad at you if you don't get that.
No,
Cause
because
hey,
even if you give Georgia half field, like you said, defense is playing lights out. They're likely to stop them anyway.
right,
Well, worst case scenario, Georgia breaks one, scores a touchdown, but you have
right,
time and you're still
yeah,
within a possession, or you hold them to a field goal and you got a chance to
yeah.
win still.
Maybe have a
So
minute, and then Georgia basically just ran out the clock, and they got the ball
mhm.
back with like 20 seconds, um, and couldn't
Yeah,
do
I
anything
didn't
at that
did
point.
not agree with that call at all. I know your
They
offense
had
was
all three
struggling to get that kind of.
timeouts.
Yeah, but you gotta throw faith in your offense at some point. If you really believe in Vandergriff, you gotta let him sling it at some point.
I mean, no one would have been upset. I mean, you're a
Mm-mm.
22-point dog. No one thought you had a chance in hell of coming within 3 touchdowns of Georgia based upon your South Carolina performance at home. And
Mm-hmm.
I, wow. But,
But- So it
there's
goes.
no
Yeah.
more victories. But man, Kentucky gave them everything they wanted. I don't think anybody really saw that coming.
No, that yeah, I certainly didn't. And a good, like you said, no such thing as moral victories and all that, but a good sign for Kentucky, especially after how bad they looked
Yeah,
for South Carolina. They get Ohio next week before they travel to Oxford. So a good barometer for them because they got a manageable schedule. They do play at Ole Miss, at
hmm
Tennessee, at Texas. So, oof.
mm,
Um, but if you mark those three as losses, that would give them 5 losses on the year. They can every other game on their schedule is very winnable.
yeah.
So another 7-5, another bowl year.
But that's, oof, but
And
that
not
is
quite.
three
What?
three
Yeah,
prolific offenses.
yeah.
Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Texas can put up
Yeah,
points.
all on road games too, and then they go to the swamp too, which that's that
Who
series history.
knows?
But
And who
but
knows
yeah,
about what's
speaking of
going
the
on against
team,
Florida Sunday?
yeah, speaking of the team, the Wildcats got housed with by last week. Oh man,
Oh,
you talk about a team that blew chances to
oh
win
boy.
a big game. Poor South Carolina. They played
Mm,
it. It looked early like they were going to run LSU out the stadium.
yeah, they
What
got up
17
17
nothing?
nothing. Yeah,
17 nothing. Rocket Sanders. I mean, hell, he finished with nearly 150 yards. He was running all over them.
yeah,
Sellers was just playing his ass off. The defense was making plays. And then they just kept shooting themselves in the foot, and LSU just climbed back in, climbed back in, climbed back
yeah,
in,
yeah,
took the lead late. Or actually, before that, the big one. LSU or South Carolina was up, what, 33 to 30?
yeah.
28, something like that, and
Yeah, the pick six.
pick six,
Oh,
and then came back for the just a dumb block in the
you crushed the quarterback.
yeah, it was. And
Crushed
honest, looked
Smart.
at it, it wasn't a huge hit. He kind of really just pushed the shit out, but again, it wasn't
Crushed the
necessary.
quarterback.
And that's the big thing, man.
And
Like stand in front of them, block them, or just have the presence of mind to realize that. Yeah, I know defenders are always looking to take shot on the quarterback on interceptions and
but
stuff,
don't
but
do it. It was unnecessary. Nussmeier wasn't touching your guy. He wasn't going to do anything to him. And
no,
they're
yeah,
going to protect the quarterback at any. And the crazy thing is the same on both of their pick sixes to call back. He was the guy that got both penalties.
oh man, he owes every other defender a
Yeah,
dinner,
he
and
got flagged on both of them. The same guy.
That's rough. I didn't know he was both of them, man.
Yeah, I
Oh
read
man.
that somewhere. I was like, what in the world? But they had so many chances, and
Mm.
man, they when they went up 17, I was like, whoa. But
I thought,
kudos
yeah.
to the kudos to LSU for fighting back in there,
Hmm.
and making it a game. But man, yeah, South Carolina had every chance in the world. They should have won yesterday. The other tough thing is, the offense went stagnant once Sellers got hurt.
Hmm.
Because what's his name is not a
Yeah,
good quarterback.
yeah. Robbie Ashford could
Is
not move the
not a good
ball.
quarterback. All he can do is run the
They got the
ball.
big chunk play from Rocket Sanders to,
Yeah,
they even, they were up 17-0 in 24-10.
yeah,
LSU came back, took the lead early in the fourth quarter. And then, that's when Rocket Sanders busted off that big 66-yard run. They missed the 2 point. They got the ball back again and could not do anything with it. Was it a turnover or a good punt return where they got the ball in LSU
yeah. They was a
territory?
punt return.
Yeah, and then they literally their drive was 4 plays, 0 yards, and they had to kick
Yeah,
a field goal to go up, so that's a big moment too. You get a start a possession in LSU territory and you can't get
hmm
a touchdown out of it or can't take more time off the clock.
right. And they
Um,
even got the kick at the.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh man, yeah. It was just close. Is that the one he missed it at the end, right?
he missed it. As
Just
at
yeah,
the buzzer.
yeah.
Oh,
Playing for college kickers, close. A tough loss for South
yeah.
Carolina. Big win for LSU. Not necessarily that a big upset or a big name, but a loss there, man. And
That would have been tough.
you're
Oh
one
yeah,
and two, and
yeah.
you still got a couple of non-conference games with UCLA and South Alabama coming up. 2 games they should easily win.
Well, yeah. You're 1 and 2, and then
Hmm.
it's people are looking like damn.
But then if you so say if they lost that and then they you're 0-1 in SEC play already, that's not good.
No,
And
you
then
lost to both USC's.
yeah, yeah, that's not good. Um, uh,
They
but
did what
then
they
you
had to
enter
do.
their stretch of once they start conference play again after these two out of conference games, they go Ole Miss at Arkansas at A&M, Alabama.
Yeah,
Oof, that's
it's a
that could have
tough
really been
run.
in a hole. Yeah, so.
Yeah, and even Arkansas has improved.
But got to tell you that also did nothing for any type of oh yeah, LSU's improved their defense story because
No.
those big chunk plays, like I said, Rocket Sanders was just doing whatever he wanted on them.
Yeah, it was. He had a hell of a
Lenora
day.
Sellers had that big run on him.
Yeah,
Um, that's how USC won that game. They just kind of drove down the field, running the
yeah,
ball at them. That LSU
yeah.
run defense is
It's not
looking,
good still.
yeah, looking shaky at best.
Yeah. So
Um,
I think that gives a lot of offensive coaches. Oh look,
mhm.
just take some notes.
But yeah, let's
Yeah.
see. Other big stories in college yesterday. Florida State 0-3.
Two, oh,
Ooh,
and three,
preseason top 10.
three.
Nearly a playoff team last year. If Jordan
Yeah.
Travis doesn't get hurt, they are going in the playoffs. And three bad losses to teams, all teams they should beat.
Yeah.
Uh, two of them at
Yeah.
home, and all the same script. These teams are just pushing them around.
I'll sing them. Like
Hmm.
yeah, the Georgia Tech game was somewhat close, but I mean, there was no doubt that they were going to lose to Boston College. There was no doubt that they were going to lose to Memphis.
Mm-mm.
And I mean, it even looks worse considering that you came from Memphis and moved up to Florida State. Like what? What is going on? Yeah,
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
Memphis is a great team, and Memphis, is one of the teams that people are looking seriously to make that the outside the Power Four
Hmm.
playoff push. But man, yeah, that's a bad loss. And now you look at their schedule and how they're playing. Where do they win really? I mean, they have Cal coming up, and Cal's much improved this year. We saw
Hmm.
Cal beat Auburn. I mean, Cal's undefeated on the year, 3-0. I mean, you can't say that they can necessarily beat Cal.
Hmm.
And then they
Yeah, and
they
then
play.
at SMU.
Yeah, who
You know,
knows? I mean, SMU's maybe not as good as some thought.
yeah.
They have already switched quarterbacks, which is weird. Um,
Hmm.
but but even then, and then that crowd's gonna be hyped. But yeah, they might, and as the losses pile up, people mentally check out, and it might be a terrible season in Tallahassee. Like it might snowball to the fact that they
Yeah.
might be like a 2 or 3 win team. Honestly, like
Yeah.
they're
They gotta, yeah, they need to win these next two games before
yeah,
Clemson comes to Tallahassee because um,
yeah,
you just, oof, like you
yeah,
said, you nailed it. It could get worse before it gets better. And
yeah. They're not showing
Clemson,
any heart. They're getting
no,
dog walked. The strength was their defense. That's not a thing.
no.
They're just not. They're a terrible team.
Hmm.
I'm just with your quarterbacks already. DJU, it didn't work. You
No.
may have paid them shitload of money, but you got to move on. Like it's not working.
Yeah, whoever, I don't know if you got some highly touted prospect behind them, but you need to move on, like you said. Try
I think
what's
they have a
next.
4-star. They have a 4-star guy. They were calling for him during the Boston College game.
Well, at this point, you are 0-3. You're already 0-2 in conference. Why not
I mean,
go
the
with the
playoffs
go with
are
the young guy?
playoffs
Yeah,
are done. And
yeah,
ACC's probably done. Like,
yeah.
just
Why not show
yeah,
that you're building for the future? This is something that Mike Norvell needs to reassess. How much they depend upon the portal.
yeah. Because the portal's a tricky thing.
Yeah, it worked out well for them last year in the last couple seasons. That's really where they added a lot of star players, but
You gotta get the
looking like they
right.
sh- looking like they should have gone for Cam Ward or any
The
of the
crazy
other.
thing, they would. I don't know what happened with they. At first, it seemed like that was where Cam Ward was going to end up,
Yeah,
and I
that
don't
was
know
the
if
big.
I don't know what Miami did or what Florida State didn't do, but
Or
man,
maybe Cam Ward knew something that everybody else knows now.
yeah, maybe he saw the writing on the wall. That damn, there's no
Yeah,
way I go to Florida State. But either
yeah,
way, DJU wasn't the answer.
yeah,
Not the answer. But
yeah.
that's the thing. Like there's so many chances you can take in the transfer portal, and now 2 or 3, names. But man, it seems like they really, and they took a lot of former Alabama players. Some of them I was like, you guys are excited about it. I mean, I don't know what Roy Dale was okay. I mean, he had some good stuff, but I mean, as the number one running back,
Mm.
they were Malik Benson. He was, he didn't do anything at Alabama. They were excited about that. So I don't know, but yeah, it's tough time in Tallahassee, and
Hmm.
the a little bit up the road as well. Some very tough times in Gainesville. So it'd
Yeah,
be
it's
interesting.
what is it? It's only or it's the first time since
They've
excluding 2020, the first time since what, like 2000 or something, that top 10 teams started 0-3.
yeah,
Yeah, it's not good there.
no, not good.
Elsewhere, let's see, big stories from yesterday. Staying in the, let's see, ACC, Boston College, after their surprise start, went to Columbia, Missouri, gave Missouri a
Them the
good
game.
game,
They did.
a hell of a game. But Missouri pulls out a tough win,
Yeah.
keeping their playoff hopes alive. They're trying to prove those are the
Sure,
type of games
SEC.
you need to win. Yeah, um, good
Yeah,
win
so
for the
good win for
Tigers.
them.
Mhm.
Let's see what
It's
else.
another game between top 25 teams on Friday night. Surprising one to me. Kansas State just easily
Oh,
handled Arizona.
they did.
I thought that was going to be a really good tight game, and Kansas
I did,
State
I did
said,
too.
"Nah."
Yeah, I thought that was gonna be a heck of a game.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, they had the tough game the previous week going. Probably should have
Hmm.
lost to Tulane.
Hmm.
I mean, and it's not that they look bad. But Tulane's just a really good team. But they came home, and I thought maybe we'd have a kind of a shootout type, a higher
Yeah.
scoring game. They got after it. I mean, um,
Yeah, I thought we'd see
you
some Friday night fireworks,
know,
but it was one
yeah, it
sided.
was very one sided. But yeah, that was yeah, I was kind of shocked that 31-7 there. Fafita didn't have a good game. McMillan looked. I mean, he got his 138, but I mean, no touchdowns. That Kansas State quarterback Avery Johnson is I mean, he's basically the guy. He's basically Will Howard. I mean, he can run
Yeah.
it. Maybe a better Will Howard. I mean, I don't
Uh,
know, but you know, you know,
yeah. It's a hey, that's something to look out for in that Big 12. We knew that they
yeah,
were going to make some noise there, but
right.
that's a statement win there when
It
a team
is.
with the promise and the
Yeah,
skill of Arizona comes in and you just like
house them.
boat race them. Yeah.
Yeah,
But let's see elsewhere in top 25. Let's see Texas. We'll just go down the list here. Texas, Arch
yeah.
Manning. Quinn Ewers
Got
gets
some
hurt.
playing
Arch
time.
Manning comes in, 4 touchdowns, big runs. He is certainly more athletic
Yeah,
than his uncles. Uh,
yeah. Very much so. I had the long touchdown run. Jeez.
looked good against UTSA. Robert Traylor. Probably I think that it looks like they might have taken a step down from their past couple years.
Yeah,
But
because they got housed the week before.
yeah,
Texas State had housed them. Texas State's a good team, but I
yeah,
think a lot of the thing with UTSA is the transfer portals kick their ass. Like,
yeah, yeah, and you wonder too. Depending on how the season goes, a lot of people love Trailer. I think it's Robert. I called him Robert
yeah,
Trailer, but no, I might have just made that name up. That was the old tractor trailer that
tractor trailer.
yeah, Michigan, right? Basketball
Yeah, he
player.
went to
Yeah,
Michigan.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It is Trailer. I know that. I can't remember his first name, but if he was a big name out there. A lot of A&M fans kind of wanted him.
yeah. He was a
So we'll
hot
see
name
if
last year, but in the
yeah,
last
if
couple of
he
years,
if
so,
they take a step back, we'll see if his name cools off or not. Who knows?
right.
But good. Texas. We just really won't know much. They did great. That win last week at Michigan. I
Right.
just think
It
given
looks
Michigan
good,
struggled
but
again
Michigan's not
today
good.
against Michigan struggled again today with Arkansas State at home.
Yeah,
Maybe struggle is too much, but they just didn't. They're not
it
blowing teams
wasn't.
out by 30 or
Yeah,
40 like they had been. It was a
right.
10-point win.
Yeah,
We really won't know anything about Texas until the Red River Shootout,
yeah.
which is the 12th of October. So, and then they have that and Georgia back to back. So that's really all you can say
That'll
about
be
Texas for now.
yeah, for sure.
Ole Miss went into Winston Salem, beat the hell out of Wake Forest, as
Yeah,
they should have. They're another one of those teams we just won't know
until they
much
play
about.
somebody.
Until they play.
They have probably them in
It's
Tennessee started off with their most cake schedule.
yeah, they get they do get Kentucky. Now Kentucky looks more impressive now. That one's in
Yeah, it looks.
Oxford, and then they have to travel to South Carolina and LSU in back-to-back weeks. So
Yeah, that's so tricky.
yeah, so in a few weeks we'll know. Yeah, you mentioned Tennessee. Good lord, they were just beating the hell out of poor Kent State.
Was
Onside
it?
kicking
Was
up
it?
30-0.
Oh, I'm like what?
It was 65 to
Five
nothing at
at
halftime.
halftime. I
It was
mean, they could have put
37-0 after the first quarter. Yeah.
They could have hung 100 if they were assholes. I mean, they were
Yeah,
asshole
right.
enough with the onside kick, but yeah, they could easily hung 100.
Yeah, and they really were just running. Nico only had 173 yards passing, so
Yeah, but
they
that
were,
that
Kent State's not good. Tennessee again. There's a litany of teams that we just don't know their true. Obviously, they can play
they can
offense.
score.
They can score, but can they do it? We'll know about them next week. They go to Norman,
Yep.
big
Going to Norman.
primetime game.
Oof.
Oklahoma's first
Assuming,
ever SEC game.
yeah, I'm assuming that's where game days at. I
I
believe
would
it
think
is.
so. Yeah. Um,
So
uh, let's see elsewhere. Oregon beat the hell out of Oregon State in Civil War.
I was kind of
Um,
shocked by that. Not that they won,
hmm
but it was so one sided. Like they really took it. I guess they were tired of. been told that they're overrated and what's wrong
Yeah,
with Oregon because they,
yeah,
oof, yeah,
yeah. After those first 2 weeks, they knew they needed to step it up.
step it up. But
Number 10 Miami beat the hell out of Ball State. Cam Ward 5 touchdowns. Man, again, let's temper
mm,
expectations for the U because based on the past
20
15
years.
years, yeah, 20 years. But they get they go at South Florida, Virginia Tech again. They don't really at Cal maybe on October 5th. At Louisville is probably the first real test for them.
Yeah, just because Louisville's a weird
But
place
it
to go
hasn't
to.
it hasn't been those games. Miami's been losing those games, but it's been the South Floridas that they've been
Yeah,
messing up. So we'll see next week. They just got to
yeah.
keep par. Utah without Cam Rising beats Utah State.
And man,
Isaac
can I stay
Wilson.
healthy?
I know, poor, and it's you feel bad for him, of course, but you feel bad for Utah in a way because man, they're so different with him. But a good performance, 3 touchdowns from the backup quarterback.
Yeah,
They ran the ball well, so I haven't seen anything on what his injury is exactly, how long he'll be out, but
right.
uh,
Yeah, you hate to see it
that's
for him because
yeah,
that
because
is
that's a
what, third year in a row.
yeah, and that's a team with
Church.
a lot of potential.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State beat the hell out of Tulsa. No news there. Oklahoma, Tulane gave him a game, gave him everything they wanted. Oklahoma put them away later, but
Yeah.
Tulane, a good defensive performance for the Sooners. They really
Yeah. They,
Tulane couldn't, they just couldn't get rhythm going.
nope. And that was the thing, like, with OU, like, I mean, it may not have been the most impressive looking on the scoreboard, but I mean, there really wasn't any doubt that they were going to win that game. Tulane really, but
No, yeah, even you would kind of I'd catch the score. I might put it up on the multi view or whatever, and I was like, oh, okay,
yeah,
it's end of the third quarter. Oklahoma's only up 24-13, like that's something,
yeah.
but it kind of always stayed around there. Like,
Yeah, I mean, OU
yeah.
just kept them banned
hmm
really and never got
hmm
dangerous.
And then, a couple key turnovers. Yeah.
Right. So
Notre
they look,
Dame took out all their
good God.
frustrations on Purdue.
Wow.
Poor Purdue.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
and I mean, I didn't really know what to expect from Notre Dame just because the offenses look bad all year. They haven't looked good yet.
mhm,
It was in West Lafayette. They've had some problems with Purdue and teams of Purdue's
mhm.
stature recently, but yeah, I guess they were just pissed off and said,
Yeah. Purdue's one of those regional teams that just loves to get a piece of Notre Dame. And
yeah,
yeah, you could see like, oh, this could be, nope. They,
no, they ended any
what, 42 nothing at halftime.
yeah, they
Big,
just
big
ended any
second quarter.
questions
Yeah.
real quick, like it was no doubt, and you know that honestly, that's for the rest of the season. I mean, that's what I mean. Notre Dame is going to have to do that. They're going to have to put
hmm
up numbers on a lot of people and leave no doubt
hmm
that they're a playoff worthy team because they really schedule's pretty soft. So I mean, they're going to have to really put up numbers to keep the committee
Yeah.
interested in them.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see elsewhere. Colorado beat the hell out of their rival. No shootout this year.
No,
Um,
and it
the
was
yeah.
kind of disappointing. But yeah, they really took it to them. I don't know what that says more about. That means I'm thinking Colorado State's pretty bad, but that's
Yeah, and then their quarterback
it,
trash talk before the game said we should have murdered them and we'll see how far Instagram followers get them. And then Colorado took that personally.
yeah. Now the
Um,
only thing I would say is Shador talked trash this week after he won, but he
mhm,
left Lincoln. He left the field of Lincoln 2 minutes before the game was up. Didn't look the best
mhm,
with that. So, but
yeah.
that's I mean it happens. But yeah, it doesn't look good as leader of the team. But Big bounce back win for the Buffaloes. I mean, yeah, if they had lost that game or been close, you never hear the end of it.
Mm-mm. Um, yeah, exactly. That was a must win for them,
Yeah,
and an impressive,
yeah,
score line for them
they
too.
made sure it wasn't any
They needed
question.
that kind of comfortable win. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Going back to let's see elsewhere in the top 25 too. I forgot to mention Nebraska easy win over Northern Iowa,
Yeah,
34-3. So the Huskers. We're not there yet. They're not back. We're not
three and
home yet.
zero,
But 3-0.
3-0 ranked, but have a interesting game Friday night. Illinois comes to town.
Oh
That'll
wait.
be a
Yeah.
interesting game. One the Huskers should win, but
Mhm.
Illinois already
They're a
got
tricky
the
team. Yeah.
they are tricky. They're maybe not as talented as what they were last year, but they did beat Kansas already, which was kind of shocking, even though Kansas kind of
Mhm.
gave them the game. But they're undefeated, so yeah, I mean you gotta come in focused. Can't
Mhm.
get let start listening to the hype. It's an easy thing to do
Mhm.
these days. So that'll be you know a big Friday night game and have the you know basically a lot of eyes themselves. So
Mhm.
a lot of people watch the Huskers. They had a lot of eyes probably on the Colorado game, but they'll even have even more Friday night in the kind of the biggest game of the week of the Friday night, and people still find out about Dylan Raiola, so
Yeah.
yeah, interesting one there.
Yeah. Going back to the SEC now. Texas A&M. Good win in the swamp. Solid win. Um,
Boy,
Florida's. It's Dan Mullen left that cupboard bare, man, and poor Billy Napier's trying, but they
yeah,
just don't have the horses, man. They
yeah,
rotated quarterbacks. They did do the old spur your rotation. I think they switched
man,
every drive basically, and they were, you know, uh, Graham Mertz 12 of 15, 195, a touchdown and a pick. DJ Lagway not as good a game, 6 of 13 for 54, a touchdown and two picks.
yeah, just was,
Um, and
but they,
he was getting sacked though. I mean, he was just
yeah.
getting, and when he was in, they were coming after him.
Honestly, Florida is just not a good team.
They're not. Yeah, they just don't
Simple
have the
as that.
horses, and they don't have them on the line where it's
Oh,
it
eh,
matters, and that's
yeah, they're just not a,
yeah.
and then it's the what when come into that season, a lot of people think, man, they're gonna have a long year, but then you didn't
Mhm.
know for sure because they, another year, they had lots of games they probably should have won last year. They were hanging around with folks. Should have been Missouri, probably should have been Florida State. Should have
Mhm.
went to a
Mhm.
bowl game last year. And then and then this year, I mean, and the bad thing is though, both bad losses at home in the swamp, which
Yeah, that's
doesn't
doesn't
do
bode
for
well for.
no. And not only that, but you got house both games. The Florida, the Miami game, eh, first game, Miami's pretty good. You get a mulligan. Another your next big game at home,
Mhm.
Texas A&M. Texas A&M had a bad week one,
Mhm.
lost to Notre Dame and at their place. So both teams hungry for a win, and they kind of house you. And they didn't have their starting quarterback either, and
Yeah.
he put up numbers, and that was interesting because maybe Texas A&M makes that switch. I don't know how badly. I can't think of his name right now. It's hurt, but the guy who played yesterday, he looked good. I thought
No,
that
he did.
I thought
Um.
the A&M offense looked much better. Maybe
Mhm.
it's just that Florida's that bad, but they look much better than what they did when I saw them against Notre Dame.
Yeah. Yeah. Marcel Reed, good game for him.
Yeah,
Le'Veon Moss, great game. So, good win for the Aggies there.
yeah,
Florida. like
Oof.
they need
Yikes.
to win their next two games. They go at State and then UCF at home after a bye, so they cannot afford to
No,
have any more losses before they start the
no.
meat of their SEC schedule. Because after
Yeah,
UCF, it's at
you.
Tennessee, Kentucky, cocktail
Yeah,
party at Texas. You know
yeah.
that murderers row.
Yikes. Yeah,
If
they
Billy
absolutely
Napier
have
wants to
to.
survive, yeah, he's got to win the next two.
And honestly, there's people saying that there was a meeting today and that he's out. I don't know how truthful that is or not. I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, I don't know if you want to do that because they'd have to pay him 20 some million. Not that that's doesn't. I mean, coaches get fired all the time with big numbers, so I mean that's not shocking.
Yeah.
But my thing is, when coaches get fired in these instances, like what benefit does that do for your program?
Hmm.
And that you have an interim coach. Do they play any better? I mean, because it does. I mean, it seems like the players like their coach. It doesn't seem like it's a
Hmm.
mutiny or anything like that where they absolutely hate him.
They just
Right?
they're just not talented
They're
enough
not
to.
good. Yeah, they're not. They're not good. And it's gonna be a
Yeah,
long season. But if they
yeah.
can't
Your
blow,
benefit is, I guess that you, for recruiting purposes, everybody knows that you're trying to change directions. You get some time to really make a
yeah.
plan for who you want, and maybe through
But
some
who you
backdoor
want?
channels. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I
but who
mean,
you want is busy because it sounds like now I don't know how realistic it is, but fans are, even on like Friday, Paul Feinbaum show they go to the campus of wherever SEC Nation is. Of course, that's where the game was. Gainesville, and the the crowd is what we want Lane, we want Lane. But Lane, I mean, even if you get Lane, I mean, he's in a long season. I mean, more than likely a playoff team. Whenever
hmm.
you realistically, and by then, the recruiting's done.
Hmm.
You want to, if you're going to get rid of your coach, you want to have somebody coming in right away so the recruits feel good, or, someone
Hmm.
that's going to be able to keep folks and keep Lagway and everything that goes along with, the transfer portal when the coach gets fired. And I don't think it's a realistic thing right now because why the hell would you leave Oxford for the
Hmm.
for the problem that is Gainesville? Because I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
Gainesville, Florida has a history, but man, they have really no patience in Gainesville. They
No,
really
and
don't. It's
I do.
unrealistic at this point.
No, I do think that I was talking with some friends about this the other day, and I think Lane probably would take that job. But you consider it. I mean, Florida can definitely outspend Ole Miss, I would
Yeah, of
think.
course. I would
The
think so.
facilities and resources are probably better there, and
Yeah,
then it's that kind of high profile job that Ole Miss
right.
just isn't. And it's not a knock on the Rebels necessarily. They're just not that.
Yeah, they're not.
When Florida's an A plus, when Florida's at their best, they're a national championship program. Ole Miss is
Right.
not at the
All
moment.
right.
Who knows? Maybe Lane takes them this year, but you're right. The timing with the new playoff now that becomes a lot trickier. Because
Yeah.
that national title game is what, like the 20th of January.
Yeah,
that,
and the inauguration
uh,
day is the
mhm.
national title day, so that'd be a busy
and
day in
and that's a
America.
lot
But
to ask for. To go recruit and build your staff and
yeah,
do all that stuff with the new program while also trying to win
yeah,
a title.
yeah.
That's a lot, and we've seen
That's
Lane had trouble with that before here. When he was
he
OC at
was the offensive
Alabama,
coordinator, and then you're the
and
OC, so
Saban, got rid of him between the semifinal and the national title game because
uh,
he felt he
wasn't
couldn't.
focused. Or,
Yeah, he couldn't pull double duty because he had taken the job at FAU. So
so
we'll see how
I
that
don't.
plays out.
We'll see
Long
how it
season,
plays
yeah.
out. So, yeah,
Hmm.
definitely a long season, but
Hmm.
man, if they have any struggles in Starkville, because that Mississippi State team is bad.
Oh yeah. Speaking of state, they got housed by Toledo in Starkville last night.
Good God.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this isn't it.
that's a
This
long. They got a
it's
lot of
yeah,
rebuilding
it's
and going
gonna
into.
yeah. I was gonna say it gets better or it's gonna get worse before it gets better, but it's pretty bad as about as bad as it can be for state.
It's bad.
So yeah,
Mm.
might be one of those 1-2 win years for the Bulldogs
Yeah,
as
they because I
Jeff
mean, you
Levy
look at that.
builds
Look at their
his.
schedule. I mean, Florida,
Yeah.
Texas, and bye week at Georgia, Texas
Oof.
A&M, Arkansas. Other than UMass, I don't see them winning
Mhm.
another game. I
An
mean, they play
Arkansas team
Arkansas,
that
Tennessee. That's
maybe has
good.
found their offense. Yeah,
Yeah,
a good win over UAB yesterday.
yeah.
Making some
Um,
big plays.
and then they end
Jackson
up,
looks like a start running back for them.
yeah. I mean, and then they, and the month after UMass, I mean, Tennessee, Missouri, Ole Miss, they're not beating any of those teams. Yeah, I mean, other than UMass, I don't see another win on the schedule, even
Yeah, no.
realistically.
Let's see. Elsewhere, Vanderbilt went to Georgia State, lost
And
a
lost.
just a back and
Yikes.
forth game. Came back, had to lead late,
Well,
scored
that
a
was that's not
114, went up three, and then Georgia State
yeah.
just 7 plays, 75 yards in a
Right.
minute, and
That's
good win for the
yeah.
Panthers. Yeah.
It was a good win, but bad look for Vanderbilt if they're looking to show they were a little different. That's not
Mm-hmm.
when you can't lose that. But
No,
yeah,
yeah. Let's see. And then Auburn struggled for a half against a bad New Mexico team. They were only
yeah.
up, what, 3 points, four
But
points at
they made that
halftime.
switch. They made that quarterback switch.
hmm
So
Did they go? Wait, did they go back to? I actually didn't watch the end of that. Did they go back
I don't
to
know if I don't know if they went
um,
back to him or not.
Thorne? Or
Cause
they
I
made the
was
switch before game? Yeah.
yeah, I know they made the
No.
switch before. I was out last night. We went to
hmm
some work function with at a pumpkin patch here, so I didn't watch a whole bunch of games except the end of the Georgia game and stuff. But I
Yeah.
was looking at that and I was like, but yeah, I don't know if he
And it,
went.
it wasn't looking good. No, it was just Hank Brown the
Oh,
whole time.
Hank Brown the whole
Yeah.
game. He did have four
17
touchdowns,
25. Yeah,
no
17
picks.
25, 235, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Yeah, that's because you can run the ball. You got Jarquez Hunter, he's one of
Yeah,
the better backs in the league.
and he ran for 152. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean he's a hell of a running back.
Yeah, but I did watch the first half, and it was just like I said, this is not a good New Mexico team.
No,
Uh,
they're not.
they and they were going right back. They were going blow for blow with Auburn in the first half. So
Yeah.
good adjustments for that staff. But again, we got to ask the question. Obviously Hank Brown's got to be your guy going forward,
You gotta
unless
be absolutely.
unless he just plays four picks and a half type
And
thing.
yeah, no, I'm
But
if I'm you, Freeze, I'm never
mhm.
going back to.
But yeah, they need to shape up because their wins on score wise they look good 45-19. The 73-3 win over Alabama and A&M, but
Yeah,
that loss to Cal at home, and
yeah,
you get an Arkansas team like we said, a good win for them, and they look like they've kind of found their offense. That quarterback for them, Green, is that it?
yeah.
He was making play. He's making plays for the Hogs yesterday. It looks
He's
like Sam Pittman's.
he looks like a great value. He's he's a great value. What's the name? That's a UCF.
Oh,
Yeah,
KJ.
yeah.
Yeah.
Not as good as KJ, but he's like a
Oh,
Dollar Tree version of
he's got
KJ.
Mobile who can make plays with his feet when the play breaks
Yeah.
down. They got something there, and they,
Hey,
like I said,
a good thing for them though. It wasn't the prettiest one against UAB, but honestly, I was kind of worried about the Hogs because
mm,
the when you're one of those teams that's not sure of yourself and had a bad season last year, and you have those type of games against a good Oklahoma State team that you definitely should have won. How does that affect your team mentally?
yeah,
How do you
uh,
bounce back, especially against the opponent that you're like, it's hard to get up for UAB right now. They're not that good of a team. But, I thought
mhm,
they handled it pretty well. It wasn't the prettiest score, but, they're one of those teams you wonder about their mental when things like that happen. They did a good job. And that's what I'm interested going forward, talk about mental is with South Carolina.
mhm,
How do they bounce back?
Mm-hmm.
after that loss because it's one of those could be one of those changing things. Either you bounce back and you get better from it, or it haunts you for the rest of the year and you're never the same. So,
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those, either you say like, "Hey, we had this team on the ropes, and we didn't, they didn't beat us. We beat ourselves," type
right,
things.
and you
Or
move
you,
on and you get better, or you just dwell on it and things
yeah,
snowball. So we'll
yeah.
see how that goes. But
But let's see elsewhere around the country, real quick. Just some scores of note. South Alabama, 87 points on
good
Thursday
God,
night. I think it
yeah,
was the most points by an FBS team since '94.
yeah,
Something crazy like that.
yeah, it was ridiculous.
You
Um,
talked about them last year. UNLV, man, a win at Kansas. Hey,
whew,
man, 3-0 for the Runner Rebs.
you know that I was watching that game, and Kansas gave the King gave them but
Mhm.
um, it's the first time the UNLV's been 3-0 since Randall Cunningham.
Woo, man,
A long
man.
time,
Uh,
and they've never
for
been 4-0.
Yeah,
They never
for
started
any
a
for
season
any
4.
Gen Zers that might listen to us, Randall Cunningham was Lamar Jackson before Lamar Jackson. He
Oh
was he
yeah,
was Michael Vick before Michael Vick.
yeah,
Randall was that dude.
absolutely.
Yeah.
He was
Let's see.
way ahead of his
Yeah,
time.
way ahead of his time. Let's see other interesting results. Washington State gets a win in the Apple Cup.
Yeah, that was
Uh,
impressive. Good for them.
yeah, Will Rogers just a hell of a game out there for the Huskies, but could not
Yeah,
overcome
no.
the Cougars. Pitt wins backyard brawl. Good game, really good game. That was a fun one. Alabama transfer Eli Holstein,
He's
300 yards, 3 touchdowns.
that was he was probably never going to play at Alabama, so I
Mm-mm.
understand why he left. But he's showing he's a heck of a quarterback. Like he's had some good games. Like
Yeah.
he had the big comeback win the week against Cincinnati, and then
Mm-hmm.
won the backyard brawl, and they're not looking decent right now. I mean, so
Yeah. No,
good.
that was a
Good for Pitt.
solid looking team. As we said last week, USF is the next big dynasty. They went out and scored 49 points against Southern Miss. So great job
Mhm.
Alabama holding them so low.
you
Let's
know,
see.
that was
UCLA's.
another.
Oh, go ahead.
I was saying that's another thing. How does a team like South Alabama, South Florida, excuse me, they felt like, we got, we gave Alabama that, they could have had that mindset of being down on themselves, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
after a game like that where you gave us all we wanted, for 3.5 quarters before we put them away.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you bounce back? They did a hell of a job bouncing back. And you were talking about UCLA, yikes.
Yeah, first ever Big Ten game at home. Indiana come to town. You're like, oh, okay. Nope. They got rocked 42-13. Deshaun Foster's got a lot of work ahead of him.
You want to see empty Rose
Uh,
Bowl.
yeah. Oh, man. I'm telling you. That is just, I will never understand. UCLA is got to be the most disappointing program in the history of college football. That prime location, great for recruiting. You play in the cathedral of college football. Gorgeous uniforms. Love the powder blue and gold. Um, eh, and they just cannot string together. And
Consistency at all.
yeah, a decade of consistency. So who
I
knows?
mean, it doesn't.
Maybe
I mean, it doesn't help at all.
Maybe the new look Pac-12 can convince
Yeah.
them to come back. We'll talk about that in a second.
But yeah, I mean, but their team, yeah, it's gonna be a long year.
Hmm.
Because there's one thing I understand. I don't think anybody had much expectations for
Hmm.
USC because I mean UCLA is a lot of change. I
Hmm.
mean but it kind of shows you where you're at that your head coach would rather go be an offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Kind of just shows where things are. But man, I mean Indiana. I mean they're better with the Kirk Kignet. I can't say his name
Oh,
ever.
Kirk Signetti. Yeah.
Signetti from
JMU,
But
yeah, good.
yeah, but
We questioned that move for him, but yeah, I guess if
yeah,
you're getting Big $10, he's got him 3-0.
you know, and really housed. Man, I mean, I don't know if I was shocked they won, but just the way they won, that's not a good thing for
Yeah,
UCLA.
no,
So,
that's not what you want. Elsewhere, UCF big comeback win at TCU.
yeah,
Bad loss for
TCU.
TCU too.
Yeah,
Hoover, their quarterback, threw for over 400 yards and 4 touches, but
Hoover.
mm,
Yeah, they were up. They were up big, and I mean, the first time that UCF led all the whole game was
hmm the
their
last
last
score, yeah,
score.
with 36 seconds left.
Yeah,
TCU up 21 at one point in that
Mm.
game.
yeah, it's a tough,
In the second
tough loss
half
for the
too.
Frogs, but
Yeah,
KJ Jefferson. Oof.
yeah. Oh man, yeah. UCF looks like the Gus bus is rolling there. Let's see. Elsewhere, Willie Fritz gets his first win at Houston. They beat the hell out of Rice. BYU moved to 3-0 to win at Wyoming.
Mhm.
Cal, another win. Good win over San Diego State. They're 3-0 as
Yeah.
well. And then I kind of briefly mentioned it, but big news out of the Pac 12 this week. They officially added, who is it? Boise State, Fresno
Mhm.
State, Colorado State, and was it San Diego State, the other one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
don't.
yeah,
I,
officially the first part of their, I
we're
guess, rebuild.
quest
There had
trying to get
been,
back to 8. They got the 2 years to
yeah.
get to 8 to begin recognized as a conference.
hmm They
But I don't know. That's weird. Like,
they couldn't reach a deal with the Mountain West for scheduling for next year, I guess, or for 2026, whatever the deal
right?
is.
Yeah.
And they had talked about, there was rumors that, maybe talks that they might just merge with the Mountain West, but keep the Pac-12 name, or that they would, maybe take some guys, try to rebuild the conference that way. And it looks like they're going to go the latter route and just take some members, whoever wants it, and they, from everything come out and said, they're not necessarily done. They might go back because you look at a team like UNLV, you would think would be a prime candidate to join
Yeah.
a Pac-12,
Especially as they
but
get better.
yeah, from what I read, that might have to be a package deal with Nevada, and Nevada's not nearly as
No.
a good looking name, but the
Not
Oregon
at all.
State AD is, that news happened what the
Thursday or
12th,
Friday.
Thursday or Friday, yeah, and just yesterday the Oregon State AD has already said that they have to get, so they have a 2-year window to get to 8 for
8.
the
Be
to
recognized as a
yeah,
conference.
they got the 2-year buffer, or whatever window from the NCAA. So this gives them now 6. So they need at least 2 more to get to 8. Oregon
Who
State's
wants
athletic
to come?
director has said that they want to do that as quickly as possible. Um, like we said, so you would think UNLV is a choice, maybe a team like Air Force, something like that.
Right.
Do they look? Are there any lower tier FCS West Coast teams? I've seen stuff
I
that said that.
saw the
Mhm,
interesting map. Someone just threw some stuff together, and it had like
mhm,
North Dakota State, South Dakota State,
mhm,
and I don't know how realistic that is or how
mhm.
lucrative that is long term, but it was interesting. I think they're like Montana, another FCS powerhouse at times,
Yeah.
um, but I
And
don't know.
I've also seen some stuff that if maybe they go and cherry pick some other Mountain West school, the Mountain West might actually go down and get those schools themselves. But it's a
Yeah,
smart move
but
for the Pac-12 because if you can just get to be an official conference, then you're in the running to get a playoff spot. If
right,
even if you're not a power conference, you can
yeah,
still,
you could still get somebody in. But
yeah.
why wouldn't I just don't understand? Like, if I'm the Mountain West schools that are gonna be looking, like, let's just all. I understand there's probably a lot of legal stuff and probably a lot of animosity now because you welcomed Cal and not Cal, excuse me, you welcomed Oregon State and Washington State as far as hey, we'll work with you guys, and then you snatch our premier teams from us.
Yeah.
So it's a little animosity probably, but man, just why I don't understand. Like, just become the Pac-12.
Yeah, I
Like,
thought that was. I understand the name, but I wonder what that is actually worth at this point.
yeah,
It seemed to me that the smartest thing was just for those Oregon State and Washington State to join the Mountain West, or even if you rebrand it some the Pacific Mountain Conference, the Pacific
yeah,
West, something like
yeah,
that.
something. But you would think
Keep
just
that
just
idea in
put
line.
everybody
Yeah.
together. You'd have well over your eight. Geographically, outside of Hawaii, it's pretty legit as far as it's a pretty compared to other conferences, it's very geographical, makes sense as far as a
Hmm.
lot everybody's in the West. Um, but I don't know how it's gonna why wh- it's probably not gonna work for some reason, just because that's
Hmm.
just where we're at. But it would make most sense for everybody just to come together, at least to have it so you're can be recognized as a conference, and then
Hmm.
if you're the teams that weren't added to the new Pac-12, that you're not left out looking crazy.
Hmm. Yeah. And it's interesting. We'll see where they go. I wonder how much some of these former Pac-12 schools are in play, if they are at all. Particularly would Cal and Stanford, do they enjoy the company they're in with the academic schools of the ACC, or would they, kind of be like, what, let's get
Or
back to our
let's
Pacific
go home.
roots, and I know there's legalities and buyout fees, but if the ACC
Yeah,
is getting sued anyway, might they take that chance to jump back, or any of the schools that went to the
right.
Big 12 going to reconsider, again, there's all
I
kinds
don't.
of
Yeah,
legal
who
things in there,
knows?
but
Who knows?
um,
But I mean, the ACC. I mean, they are not very friendly with their own, so I don't know how quick.
yeah.
But then again, I feel like the Stanford and Cal were just kind of thrown in there just to.
Mhm.
We got to get back to our numbers.
Yeah.
We got to add it. We just had to add some names that people have heard of. And I
Mhm.
don't think there was really any thought of, do they make sense at all? Other than
Yeah.
academics, does it help us in any way for football? Does it help us at all for any other sports? Because
Yeah.
a lot of those Olympic sports, that's not bringing in the revenue, and not all the ACC teams play. All the stuff like the men's
Yeah.
volleyball and everybody has a swimming team, but they're much better when out of the Pac-12 schools.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, so there's a lot, looking at an article in the Athletic real quick, they're talking about possible names. So they go, just because, they're not necessarily down the Mountain West. So they had UNLV, obviously, Air Force, as I mentioned, Wyoming, their program that's always been solid. They're a big time rival of Colorado State. They're right there with Boise State, in
I mean,
terms
their
of
name everybody
geography.
knows.
Yeah, so that's one. And then they also talk about, schools like Tulane, Memphis, North Texas. Of course, nobody gives a shit about actual geography anymore. So why not go for a
Why
team
not?
that's,
Oh,
like
man,
Tulane?
yeah,
But they're talking about, to be about the Texas markets for a team like North Texas, UTSA. Memphis is a school that's, been wanting to get into a big conference for a while
right.
now. It
And it's
seems,
kind of they kind of always on the outside of that.
yeah, but they, that's a good, and that's not just a football school. They're a good basketball program. They had
Right.
other good athletic programs there. They
Yeah.
and they're a school with NIL, money because the FedEx ties they have. So
Right.
uh, now is the Pac-12. Is that what Memphis wants? As far as do they
Yeah.
view that as a big name? I think they would probably more look to get in the Big 12.
You think
You
that?
know,
Yeah. It seems much more likely that they would go Big 12 before.
Yeah, I mean, in a geographical world, obviously the SEC is their fit. They're right there, like with Ole Miss and Arkansas and
Yeah.
State. And
Yeah. And they've already had a long rivalry with Ole Miss already. So,
yeah,
but
so there's a, but
I just don't see that ever.
I actually do no, that'll never happen. I do it in my college football
Yeah.
Xbox dynasties. I have Memphis and the SEC.
Yeah.
And Memphis is an SEC town, but
Yeah. Yeah. Most definitely.
uh, but yeah, and then there's maybe some non-football schools, like do they kind of court like Gonzaga or St. Mary's, some of those West Coast Conference teams for basketball?
Right.
But hey, that's just something that happened this week. The realignment train never stops. So that was the news
Yeah. I mean,
out of
it's
that.
interesting to see how where it goes,
Hmm.
just because who knows, who knows what they're trying to do there.
Hmm.
I would say, like I said, the most sense just to bring everybody aboard out the Mountain West and call yourself the Pac West or
Hmm.
whatever, or the
Yeah.
Mountain 10 or 12 or whatever
Yeah.
the exact number would be, and go with that, or just combine and come as relevant of a conference as you can, because the main thing is you want to stay where you're recognized as a full conference and you have a possible playoff contention. I mean,
Yeah.
that's all you can really hope for.
Yeah. So that's their job, and it seems like I said, the Oregon State AD said they want to do it as soon as possible. So it seems like
Uh,
that'll probably happen before the season's over for sure.
yeah, I would think so.
So just something to pay attention to.
Right.
Anything else in the college game you want to touch on before we move on real quick?
Trying to think. Oh, yeah. That other interesting game. Thursday night. It was Arizona State, Texas State. That was a fun
Ooh,
one.
it was a good one. A good win for the Sun Devils there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So they're 3-0, looking much better than what they did. Because Texas State is a legit squad. I mean, now they
it's a
have
solid program. Yeah.
they have a lot of transfers. So yeah, I mean, Arizona State looking much better than what they did last year. So,
Hmm. Yeah.
but
Um,
that's about it.
yeah. All right. Well, let's move through the NFL quickly. We're over an hour, 10 minutes right here. We mentioned last week was just a good day. A lot of great football games in the NFL.
Yeah,
This week was the weird week.
weird.
Everything subverted your
So
expectations from week one.
yeah,
Starting with our teams. My
okay.
Ravens, a loss at home to the Raiders, blew a 10-point fourth quarter lead. Just it's Gardner Minshew picked them apart.
Huh.
Just really couldn't make plays.
Yeah.
Receivers dropping balls that turned into big interceptions. Offense stalling out late. Defense couldn't make a stop late.
Mm-hmm.
Just a dumb, frustrating loss.
Yeah.
Your team, man,
Oh
probably
my
to
goodness.
me the shocker of the day. Not just that y'all lost at home to the Saints, but
Just how we lost to them. They
40
just look like,
44-19. It was
and
what,
it was
35
over.
to
I mean,
yeah
it was
halftime.
over
Yeah.
after the first quarter. I mean, they scored within like 10, the first drive, and then Alvin Kamara went just absolutely
Ooh,
nuts. You
four
know,
total touchdowns on the day for Kamara. He
and then
looked
as
like
good as our,
mhm,
last week the defense looks great, and you're wondering that, is the defense good? Are the Browns bad? It's probably somewhere in the middle. But I
yeah.
mean, you know what? Our new defensive coordinator, he's more has more packages that I think works well for us, and then we're going to be able to stop the run better long term. But today, it seemed
Oof.
like as uh, just a rewind to the playoff game against the Packers. I mean, we just got
Mm,
absolutely housed from the get go. I
mm.
mean, couldn't stop a nosebleed if we wanted to, and it was just ugly. Just when you
Yeah.
move on from, I don't know if you, I don't know what
Yeah,
you,
right. You
just
just
move
throw
on
the
from it, because that was
yeah.
just the worst possible game we could have ever had.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
not a good look. And then
No.
uh next week our teams meet.
Mm,
Yeah, the afternoon
yeah.
game in Dallas or Arlington. And what's now, you hate to say must win game for the third game of a 17 game year, but man, the Ravens 0-2, and
Yeah.
their next few games at Cowboys, home for the Bills, at the Bengals.
Yeah. That's a tough,
You
tough
know,
schedule.
kind of a feisty Commanders team, then at Tampa Bay, at Cleveland. That's a Ravens got turned around, man, and the offense is just not.
Not looking clean.
It's not looking that they did eliminate some of the penalties from last week, but they're not quite. It took a while for Derrick Henry to get rolling today, and once he did, he was going good. But then
Yeah.
they just can't. I mentioned Bateman dropped a ball, hit his hands, went right to a Raiders defender. Little things like that. Isaiah
All right.
Likely on that Ravens almost had themselves a real good shot toward the end there, but like good defensive play. Likely had a chance to make a spectacular sideline catch, but
Mm-hmm.
Raiders defender made a good play to knock the ball out of his hand. But yeah, man, that's the Cowboys are going to want to turn around and atone for today, and the
Yeah.
Ravens need to win because they cannot
Yeah.
afford to
But
start
I
0 and
mean,
3.
yeah, I mean either one was a bad look. Either Dallas at 1-2 or the
Yeah.
Ravens at 0-3, and yeah, just expectations from both. I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, it'd be. We'll see. I don't even know what to expect right now. Like, because
Yeah, like I
today
said,
shocked the
today was
shit
one
out
of
of me
those.
just because,
Yeah.
man, the Saints. I mean, the Saints. We know they have weapons, but the
Hmm.
Saints honestly have not looked good in the last couple of years. I mean, the way they look
Hmm.
today look like prime 2010 Drew
Yeah.
Brees. I
Uh-huh.
mean, they were just rolling.
Oh yeah,
Like, what in the
or it looked
world?
like kind of 2015-ish, Alvin
Yeah,
Kamara, prime
right.
Kamara, just yeah. So that was a
Yeah, it's like, man, this was like a throwback for the Saints
yeah,
offensively. I mean,
yeah.
honestly, maybe that offense is just that good this year. I mean, they put up 80 some, 90
91
some points
points through
through
two
two
games. Actually,
weeks.
there's a stat
Yeah.
on the screen right now for uh on the Sunday night games, fourth most points through the first two games in NFL history.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, like we said, it was a weird day. Tampa Bay went and Detroit got a win.
yeah.
The Packers without Jordan Love, Malik Willis gets a first career win. The
Yeah.
Packers defense, the story they'll force 3 picks off of
Right.
Anthony Richardson. Josh Jacobs, 32 carries, 151 yards.
There.
He's like, I mean, maybe that's the key right there. Just give him the
And then,
rock. The
the
Vikings beating the
Bengals.
49ers.
Yeah. I mean, what in the world? Like,
Hmm.
I thought, I put in a parlay this morning and I thought, man, four and a
Hmm.
half. Sure. Why not? I mean,
Yeah. Hmm.
the 49ers did what they wanted to do against the Jets.
Hmm.
So I thought, man, yeah, looks good. And the Vikings are 2-0 on the year, and
Yeah.
maybe their quarterback, he's maybe this is what he needed the whole time.
Yeah.
He
Sam
has some.
Darnold. Who knew?
Sam Darnold has some weapons now, and he's never had a Justin Jefferson before
Did
since
he
college.
return to the game? I didn't see. I know he was injured at one point. I didn't see
Right?
any
I
updates
don't.
on him. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not 100%, but
But
yeah, he's looking good.
let's see elsewhere. Patriots feisty again. They lost today in overtime
Yeah,
to the Seahawks,
overtime.
but another game you figured like, oh, that's an easy win for. Nope, Seattle had to struggle, but they did get it in
Yeah,
the end. The Commanders win with 7 field
seven
goals.
field goals, 21-18.
Yeah, but
Jeez,
hey, it's a win. Giants,
that's a win.
Mallory's Giants. Ooh, not looking great.
Oof. Oh yeah,
Um, let's see. Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers, easy win over the Panthers, as it should be.
yeah.
Panthers still just
Terrible.
not terrible.
They're horrible.
The Browns looked a lot better than they did last week. Went into Jacksonville, got a win. It wasn't a great win, but it
But it's a
was a
win
win.
nonetheless.
The Cardinals beat the ever loving hell out of the Rams. Rams
Yeah.
0-2 for a team with a lot of hype coming into the
But
year.
they have all the injuries right now. Like
Yeah, they
they
are
there's
struggling.
like what Coop Cup
Puka's
got hurt
out.
today.
Cooper got hurt again today. Yeah,
The other guy's out. Um,
yeah, it's
the line
rough.
is out. I
Yeah.
think Stafford got sacked 6 times, and
Ooh, man.
it was
Um,
bad. Look at Arizona. Marvin Harrison, two
oh
touchdowns,
man, what a day.
130 some yards.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
for
He
how
looked
special he could be. living up to the hype this week.
Yeah, if he
Uh,
and Murray develop a rapport, that's oof,
watch out.
he's got himself another DeAndre Hopkins
Yeah,
type weapon.
exactly.
The Steelers 2-0 after another ugly win. This time
Yeah.
against the Broncos. Bo Nix
The
2 interceptions. Yeah.
That's Steelers football though.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
no,
an
yeah,
ugly.
yeah, and like we said, probably maybe the best defense in the league. So
Yeah.
that's the Chiefs and Bengals, another classic. Chiefs win on a walk-off field goal. A bad penalty for the Bengals late.
Ah,
Yeah, terrible.
but I
Joe
mean, but
Burrow
it
looked a
just
little
showed
bit
you
better.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, as bad as the Beagles looked last week, and then you go into Arrowhead and you give the Chiefs all they could have asked. I mean, the
Mm.
Bengals should have won that game. I mean, it's just crazy
Yeah.
week to week in the NFL. Yeah, it's just a weird week. Like nothing went how I thought it would have. Right.
Yeah, and then some other, we saw what Jamar Chase said he's not going to negotiate his contract
Yeah.
during the season now, so that's something that'll worry Bengals fans. The Chiefs, looks like now Hollywood Brown might actually miss the regular
The
season.
whole season. Yikes.
Yeah, after what they thought would just be a couple weeks. So that's
Mm.
granted, they between Rasheed Rice and Worthy,
Yeah, I mean, they're fine for them, but
yeah, that was
yeah,
just another weapon that they could have had that would have
right.
really took another level.
Because
And
hell,
then
they won a Super Bowl with the pedestrian offense last year. They're
exactly,
already
yeah.
better. So
So yeah, but yeah, like we said, just a great game there in Arrowhead. But 2-0 start for the Chiefs, 0-2 for the Bengals. Thursday night, the Bills got a big win over the Dolphins again. They seem to do that a
house them.
lot, but Tua, man, another
Oh,
concussion, 3 picks. It was just a terrible game anyway. Just the Bills do that to him.
and that just added, and then
But yeah, trying to make a play late. They're down. He's just trying to scramble, puts his head down, gets hit, and
gotta slide, gotta
uh,
slide.
gotta slide, man. And you feel tough, and I believe of course, there's all the speculation, all the talking heads. Does he need to retire? Blah blah blah. And pretty sure he released a statement today saying that's not going to happen.
That's not gonna happen.
So
And who,
hopefully, yeah.
it's hard. It's it's easy for us as outside of saying, man, you
Mhm.
got to step away from the game. But
Yeah,
when that's what that's your life. You've done it your whole life. You know, yeah.
yeah. It's
Ah,
he's the only one that can make that decision. They
right. Because who knows? I
someone that
mean,
was,
you
I
could
don't know if
get.
it McAfee show maybe, that he was talking to Nick Saban. Saban obviously has a great relationship with Tua, and he
Yeah,
basically said, look, this is something only Tua can make after consulting his
yeah,
doctors. It's got to be a medical thing. So
yeah. It's got to be, and it's only his decision that he's gonna make. And his
mhm.
wife can be like, hey, I want you around. Maybe, but yeah, you hate to see it just because of the history of it, and he's had so many, and he's a young guy still. He just got that big money, so I mean, of course he wants to put out that contract. I mean, he has a lot of guaranteed money, and I don't know how that works if he were to retire early. If there's any con, anything in those contracts that says you don't get it anymore, I don't know. It's guaranteed, but is there still certain things that cuts that money or not from you? Who knows? And then, the other thing too, I was thinking about, I think you got to play at least 5 years to get that, with
The pension or something like that.
NFL
Yeah.
pension or whatever. So I think this is at least the fifth year. So I mean, if you're looking at that, I mean, that could be another thing. But man, it's just hard because I mean, when you're a starting quarterback in the NFL
Mhm.
and you're a young guy, and the best you're ever gonna be. I mean, it's hard to step away from the game.
Yeah,
I mean,
and we
that's what he
know
knows.
one thing Saban commented on, he's a hell of a competitor. He's just a fiercely competitive guy,
Yeah.
so it's hard for those guys really to step away. And
And
but yeah,
he's still young. I mean, it's not like he's 40. And it's
yeah,
hard
this
enough
is
for 40-year-olds to step away from the game. He's in
exactly,
his
yeah.
mid 20s. Outside of the concussions, I mean, he's a healthy guy. I
But
mean,
see, we
he's
saw last year what happens when he plays a full season, man. He
right.
can sling it, and their offense is one of the better ones in the league. So,
Yeah. So,
um,
ah,
but Yeah, it's
It's
tough.
tough,
It's tough to
tough.
watch. Yeah, but
And who knows?
see, as we watch here, it looks like Houston is going to two
Yeah,
and 0.
2-0. Bears one and
And we'll
one.
start. Yeah,
It's an
tough game
ugly.
against the Bears.
It's an
Yeah,
ugly
ugly game
game.
tonight, but
Yeah.
a win. And then tomorrow night, what is it? Falcons and Eagles
Falcons,
on Monday Night
Eagles,
Football.
Birds.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts, Saquon, and all the crew again. Looks like no AJ Brown tomorrow night.
Nope.
But yeah, like I said, it's just kind of a weird Sunday, and one of those Sundays in NFL. But usually they don't happen quite this early.
No.
But
That
everything
that seemed
just
like very like end of
yeah,
October, November type of.
yeah.
But it's just like all the favorites like either struggled or took
Mhm.
an L today. Because I mean, some of those games I was like, wow,
I think it's about the only sure things that we see right now. The Chiefs are going to be good, and the
yeah,
Giants and Panthers are not.
are
yeah,
terrible. Other than that, man, everything else is a crapshoot. Who
but
knows?
but yeah, we got Aaron Rodgers got his first win
They did.
as a Jet. They get next week. Looking ahead, they get the Patriots on Thursday Night Football. We mentioned our
May
Ravens,
actually be an interesting
Cowboys.
game.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, let's see. Elsewhere in the world of sports, I don't really have anything else coming this year. A couple looks like some records being broken in WNBA. Caitlin Clark breaking
Yeah,
some
Kevin Clark breaking
records.
record. Asa
Hey
Wilson
Wilson, yeah, first to score
breaking.
1,000 in one season.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Caitlin Clark. Yeah, ever since she went on the Olympic team, that the second half of the season, she's been a.
yeah.
And they're actually gonna look like they're well on their way. That was our main thing. Is the main. No matter how good they are, you have to make the playoffs, and she's. They're gonna make the playoffs. They're above 500. So I mean, they're well ahead of what many thought that they would be this year. So
hmm yeah. See baseball. That pennant race rolls on. One just interesting thing from the baseball world today. Uh, Helio Ramos, the first ever right-handed batter to homer into McCovey Cove in San Francisco. Um,
hmm,
it's hard. Obviously it's a opposite field shot. For right-hander, so you got to put a little extra muscle into it. But it was
first
let's see,
time ever.
394 feet, which is a drive. But you would
Yeah,
think by now one of these right-hand power
nobody
hitters,
would. Know.
yeah,
Nobody.
would have got one. But they're since the park opened in 2000, there have been 167 homers hit into the water, and all left-handers until today.
Huh? That is
Just
crazy.
yeah, that was just an interesting thing I
I would
saw.
have
That I was
thought
like, that
that.
is
I would have thought that would have probably happened like '03 or '04.
yeah, right. Like I said, just one of the especially
Wow.
right around the
Huh.
steroid end of the steroid era. But
Yeah.
you
Wow.
just figure one of these big, muscly, right-handed bats.
Just one time, not one.
Yeah,
Wow.
just get an elevated fastball up and away, and
Yeah.
just get hit it, make solid contact and hit it. But
Yeah.
that's
Wow.
just crazy, random things. But
Yeah. Huh.
elsewhere, as we run
Interesting.
down, we mentioned last week, the ALs where the division races are a little separation this week. Yankees up 3 on Baltimore, Cleveland up 4 on KC, Houston up 4.5.
Yeah.
Um, and in the NL, you know, looking at the wild card race, that's the tough one. We still got San Diego, Arizona there. The Mets and Braves tied for that last spot. In the AL, Baltimore, KC, your first two, and then you got the Twins in the third spot. But Detroit's, Seattle right behind them, Boston lurking
Yeah.
too. So,
Including a
so
2.5,
still
4.
some races going today. Yeah, the Braves got a house tonight by the Dodgers, but they won the first two in the series, and they'll play one more again tomorrow night. But yeah, as Shohei Otani, marches toward a 50-50 season. Other than that, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Did I
Yeah.
have anything you wanted to mention before we head out?
Well, I think, it's been We have a lot to talk about, a lot of interesting stuff in the college game. But
Mm,
yeah, I think we hit hit most everything there
mhm.
I could think of.
Um, yeah. So I think we are probably good to go. So, Greg, what has been done up real good for you this week?
Done up real good for me this week. Probably my daughter. She got into early. Well, it's like a summer early college thing at UA, where like she can do either online or actually go to school down there for the summer. She wanted to get college
Nice.
credits while she's in high school still, and she got accepted into that program. So I was like, man, that's
Mm,
awesome.
that is awesome. Congrats to her.
Yeah. I don't think they had such things when we were in high school as
Um,
where you could do that.
I
And
don't
if
know
they
if they
did, I
did, but
don't.
we weren't doing them.
No. That is
I did
honestly when I was her
orientation.
age. Yeah. Honestly, at her age, and she's, kudos to her. I mean, she's pretty disciplined. Man, I was just trying to be the coolest kid. Like, I mean, I just wanted to. I mean, I could have been nerdy. I mean, I didn't have bad grades, but I just was one of the people that try to hide that I was anywhere near, you know, that I could be
Mm.
smart because at that point, I wanted to be the nerd.
Yeah, it wasn't cool to be smart back
No,
then. I
no,
was the nerdy kid. I was a good grade
yeah,
student, but even then, I wasn't. I didn't do AP. I didn't.
right,
I had a few honors classes here and there, but it wasn't. I never had that
yeah,
extra.
no,
Looking
right.
back on it now, it's like, oh man, I should have done
Should
more
have
extracurricular
done
stuff.
this
Yeah,
because
should have done more.
yeah, should have did a lot more because you look at it and just a life lesson. I tell my kids this all the time. We do so much to try to impress other kids and stuff, and you look back and you're like, why the hell was I trying to impress this person, this person?
Yeah.
Other than maybe seeing them on Facebook every now and again, I don't even talk to these people.
All right.
I mean, man, yeah. So, but how about
Yeah.
you? As far as
Let's see. I'll stick with the sports world today. North London Derby win for Arsenal this morning.
I,
London is red, and a big win not only because they play Man City next week, got to keep pace in the
right,
title race even this early in the year, but some injury trouble there and uh, for Arsenal as well too. Lost their Martin Odegaard, their playmaking central midfielder, got hurt playing for
mm,
his native Norway in international duty earlier in the
so
week. So
yeah, that's
he's
so
he's really the fulcrum of that squad. So that was a
right
huge loss, and that's a big win to get in. At Tottenham too.
for sure.
Yeah, so good way to start this morning real early. When the kid got up,
Mm,
I kind of forgot I was on. I was like, oh yeah, well let's watch this, and
all right.
so that was good. But yeah, it was a good start to the day. But that'll do it for us, folks. As always, thank you for listening. Do be sure to subscribe and like and tell your friends and tell your rich friends as always. And we talked about the Alabama Slam, calling it quits last week, unfortunately. So along those lines, if you're a business owner or you got a friend with a small business and you like what we do or like what any of us do here at the Alabama Take, throw us a little sponsor. That's something you can do to keep a little self-run podcast like this going is
Nice.
help us out, make it worth your while,
For sure.
or make it worth our while. But yeah, so any of you out there listeners, you own a little business or it doesn't have to be small. Hell, it can be big. If you work for a big company, we'll gladly take that sponsorship money too.
For
Uh,
sure.
but yeah, so like I said, as always, check that out. Check out the alabamatake.com as always for some good writings and stuff. No challenge this past week for some reason, but it'll be back. Oh, the VMAs, that's right. It'll be back next week. Me and Blaine, I'm sure we'll hop on that coverage. You can check out our Pick'em column every Friday. Me, Greg, Blaine, and Mallory. I think I
Don't look
did
at my
fairly. Yeah,
don't
don't
look
look
at
at
my
Greg's this
guys.
week.
No, it's bad.
I
Real
think I
bad.
had a, I think I had a bounce back week this week myself,
Yeah.
but it was hey, we're getting in the groove. It's fine. Um, That should do it. Next week, I am out of town working again, but there is a slight chance that I might be able to record still. I recorded from Ohio is where I'm going. I recorded there last year. It was the episode we did with Mallory for the Ole Miss Alabama game. So
Mm.
there's another slight chance that I will be able to record. I will obviously talk to Greg about that, and I will let y'all know if I can or can't next week. So
It's a bye
uh,
week. I mean,
I was about to say it's a
after
bye
last.
week for Alabama. I think it's a fairly quiet week overall in college, and so wouldn't be the worst thing. And we'll be back for the Georgia weekend, obviously, but
Oh,
we'll keep you updated on that.
for sure.
So thank you for listening, folks. Keep it done up real good yourselves out there. Enjoy football season, man. It's over before we know it.
Man.
I know. Always goes too quick.
Right.
Greg, buddy, I will see you next time.
Yes, sir.